You clicked this video because you want to know the answer to one of the most argued questions in personal finance: real estate or stocks? Which one actually builds more wealth? And not just, it depends. You want the actual numbers, the math, side by side. Good, because that's exactly what we're doing today. We're going to take the same $50,000 and invest it two ways: one into real estate, one into the stock market, and run the numbers out over 20 years. No fluff, no bias, just math. By the end of this video, you'll know which one wins on paper, which one wins in real life, and what nobody tells you when they're trying to sell you on either one. Let's get into it. Before we run any numbers, we need to establish ground rules, because most comparisons online are rigged. They cherry-pick the best years for one side and the worst for the other. We're not doing that. Here's how we're structuring this. Starting capital, $50,000. Time horizon, 20 years. Real estate, we use that $50K as a down payment on a $250,000 rental property. Stocks, we invest that same $50K into a broad index fund, specifically an S&P 500 ETF. We use real historical averages, not best-case scenarios. And we account for the things most people conveniently forget: taxes, costs, maintenance, inflation. Fair enough? Good. Let's start with real estate. You buy a $250,000 property. You put $50,000 down, that's 20%. You take a mortgage on the remaining $200,000 at a 7% interest rate over 30 years. Your monthly mortgage payment? Roughly $1,330. Now you rent it out. The average rent on a $250K property in a mid-tier U.S. market is around $1,800 to $2,000 per month. We'll use $1,900 to stay conservative. The cash flow: monthly rent, $1,900, mortgage, $1,330, property taxes, 1.2% annually, $250 per month, insurance, $100 per month, maintenance and vacancy, 10% of rent, $190 per month. Total monthly expenses, $1,870. Monthly cash flow, roughly $30. That's not exciting. But here's where real estate gets interesting. Appreciation. U.S. home prices have historically appreciated at about 3 to 4% per year. We'll use 3.5%. Your $250,000 property after 20 years at 3.5% annual appreciation? $250,000 times 1.035 to the 20th is approximately $497,000, nearly $500,000. Equity buildup. Over 20 years, you've also been paying down that mortgage. After 20 years of payments, your remaining loan balance on a 30-year mortgage is roughly $141,000. So your equity equals property value minus remaining mortgage. $497,000 minus $141,000 equals $356,000 in equity. Rental income. Your $30 a month cash flow doesn't sound like much, but rents also grow. At roughly 2.5% per year, your rent income over 20 years, net of all expenses, totals approximately $15,000 to $20,000 cumulative. Small but real. Real estate total after 20 years. Equity and property, $356,000. Cumulative net cash flow, $18,000. Total, $374,000. On a $50,000 investment, that's a 7.5x return. Not bad, but now let's look at the other side. The setup. Same $50,000. Instead of a down payment, you drop it straight into an S&P 500 index fund and leave it alone for 20 years. The S&P 500's historical average annual return, including dividends, adjusted for a realistic long-term average, is about 10% per year before inflation, or roughly 7% after inflation. We'll use the nominal 10% to keep it comparable with our real estate numbers, which we also didn't fully inflation adjust. The compound growth, $50,000 at 10% annually for 20 years. $50,000 times 1.10 to the 20th equals $336,375. Now, let's add that you also reinvested dividends, which is automatically what happens in most index funds. S&P 500 dividend yield historically sits around 1.5 to 2%. That's already baked into the 10% figure. What about taxes? This is where it matters. If this money is in a tax-advantaged account, a Roth IRA or 401k, you pay zero capital gains tax on the growth. Your $336,375 is yours. If it's in a taxable brokerage account, long-term capital gains tax at the 15% rate would take approximately $43,000 off the top when you sell. After tax in a taxable account, about $293,000. We'll use the taxable number to be conservative, $293,000. Stocks total after 20 years. Taxable brokerage about $293,000, tax-advantaged account about $336,000. Let's put it side by side. On paper, real estate wins. But hold on, before you run out and buy a rental property, there are things the math doesn't capture. Big things. Real estate, the hidden costs. Time. Owning a rental property is not passive. You deal with tenants, repairs, vacancies, evictions, plumbing at 2 a.m. If you hire a property manager, that's 8 to 10% of rent, gone. That eats your cash flow entirely. Leverage risk. Yes, leverage amplified your gains, but it also amplifies losses. If that property drops 15% in value, you don't lose 15%. You could lose your entire equity position. Ask anyone who owned rental property in 2008. Liquidity. You can't sell 10% of your house when you need cash. Stocks? Sell in 30 seconds. Concentration risk. You put $250,000 into one asset in one city in one neighborhood. If that area declines, you decline with it. Capital calls. New roof, $15,000. HVAC system, $8,000. These aren't in the model, but they happen. Stocks, the hidden challenges. Behavioral risk. The S&P 500 dropped 34% in March 2020. It dropped 50% in 2008 to 2009. Most people don't stay in, they panic sell. The math assumes you hold for 20 years. Your emotions might not let you. No leverage. You invested $50K and got returns on $50K. Real estate investors put in $50K and got appreciation on $250K. That leverage is why real estate can outperform on raw numbers, even with lower percentage gains. So which one wins? Mathematically, real estate, when you use leverage intelligently and hold through the full cycle. Practically, stocks for most people who don't want to be landlords, don't have time to manage property, and want true passive exposure to wealth building. But here's what the smartest investors actually do. They don't pick one, they use both. Real estate builds wealth through leverage and appreciation. Stocks build wealth through compounding and liquidity. Together, they cover each other's weaknesses. A rental property builds your net worth and generates income. An index fund grows in the background, liquid, no stress, no tenants. The question isn't which is better. The question is, which one are you actually going to execute? The best investment is the one you'll hold for 20 years. For some people, that's real estate. For others, it's stocks. For the best positioned investors, it's both. So there it is, the full math, side by side, no spin. Real estate wins on leverage and total return, if you manage it well. Stocks win on simplicity, liquidity, and consistency. Now you have the numbers, you make the call. If this video gave you clarity, hit that like button. It genuinely helps the channel. And if you want to go deeper, the next video breaks down exactly how to analyze a rental property deal before you buy, so you don't end up with one that eats your cash every month. That one's worth your time. See you there.